Hi friends, and welcome back to my studio. If you are new here, my name is Tammy Ernest and I am a long arm quilter, and here on my channel I like to share customer finishes, beautiful finishes, as well as my own personal projects in my quilting journey. So thank you for joining me today. So I wanted to give an update. So many of you have asked when my quilt circle will be opening, and it is this month. So November 22nd through the 25th, I'll be opening my quilt circle membership. This is an online membership for isolated quilters. If you are someone who doesn't have a lot of quilting buddies and you're just looking for some inspiration, motivation, a community where you can share your quilting journey with, this is the group for you. So if you are interested, there is a link down in the description below, or you can go to my website, tammyernestquilting.com. And you can sign up for the wait list. And those emails with all the information about how to sign up will go to that wait list on November 22nd. And you'll be able to sign up that way. It is a monthly cost or it's a yearly fee. If you do the yearly cost, it is less than if you do it by month. And inside Quilt Circle, we have Quilts of Valor. We have a monthly challenge. We have a quilt along going on. Next year we're talking about doing a stitch along too with cross stitch. There's always a community chat going on so that you can share progress, you can ask your questions, you can find other like-minded quilters that you can become friends with. We do have several live stitching events where we just get together and sew several times during the month. And so you can be involved in as little or as much of that as you want. But if that sounds like something you'd want to be involved in, so make sure you get your name on the wait list. So I wanted to show you this week that some of the personal sewing I did was actually with my Quilt Circle. Joy Filled is the current quilt along that we are working on. We are in the final stages of this. Actually, this week we are putting on the borders and there's a pieced border all the way around here. You see that? And I have yet to do that one, but I have all my blocks done. So I didn't bring all my blocks to show you today. The ones I brought were not the last ones. I was on block number 5, which is these right here. There were 8 of these to make. 8 of these, and they are all 9-inch blocks, so you can see them right here. Now on mine I'm using the American Gatherings quilt. I'm using the American Gatherings fabric line by Primitive Gatherings. So mine's a red, white, and blue theme. Love this fabric line. I love the state names and things. Actually, I did bring, so I've been keeping my projects in totes like this. You can see I have this is just washi tape. It's a little thicker. I don't even know where I got this, but it's almost like a canvasy type washi tape. And this is what I put on each one of my project boxes. So when they're stacked in the corner, I can tell which one is which and I can pull out the right one. So this is all my Joy Filled fabrics. Let me pop this open. I just got these on Amazon. I'll link it down below. These are 12 by 12 project boxes. I like the size. They're probably, I don't know, 3 inches tall, something like that. Holds most every project I've had, fits fine in these. So I've got all my fabrics. The rest of these that are left is what I will be cutting up to use on that pieced border. So you can see the deep blues and deep reds. That's what all of these extras are. So I bought a fat 1/8 bundle. That is what is called for by Corey Yoder's pattern. So I bought a fat 1/8 bundle of this. But then so what I did at the beginning, sorry, I'm a little jumbled here. What I did at the beginning was most of the blocks were paired 2 colors together. So I would pair a red and a blue, and I just went through the entire fat 1/8 bundle and just paired reds and blues, reds and blues. That way I didn't get down to the end and have a red print and a blue print were the exact same print, just in different colorways. I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to be a little planned out. So I went through at the beginning and just matched up reds and blues. Did all those blocks. But when it got down to these final blocks, these and these smaller ones, the smaller ones here, I've had those finished, and most of these I did in the darker blues and reds because they didn't take a whole lot of fabric. Those are smaller blocks. Those only measure 6 inches. The pieces are only 3 inches, so it didn't take too much. But the blocks that I worked on this week or finished up this week, these are 9-inch blocks, and so you needed, and you're making hourglass units by doing half square triangles, cutting those and layering those again, making hourglass units just like I showed you last week. That's in the Peaceful Baskets Quilt Along. That's the way this pattern is written by Corey Yoder, is to show you to do them that way. So it takes a little bit larger amounts of fabric, and I didn't have enough for using these darker prints. So I did use a lot of these low volumes. So a little different. So here's some of the low volumes that I had left. So they read a little lighter than the rest of the quilt. And let me show you. I've got them all stacked up here. I guess I'll just peel them off. So you can see how they're a little bit of a lower volume look to them. So these will be interspersed throughout the quilt. So I'll have some darker reds and blues in the other blocks. And then these are just going to be low volume. I like the way this one turned out. Because doing those hourglass units, I was able to get all the fabrics to go the same direction. Maybe I shouldn't have them all stacked up together. Maybe that's my problem. All right, just one at a time. All right, here's that one. Here's some stars. Here's some red stars. See how low volume that is? Yeah. So I would have needed to buy more fabric if I was going to do the darker prints in these two, and I just decided not to. So this one is the blue, the state names in the blue. Now I don't know if you can tell in this block. I am using primitive muslin, I think is what it's called, as my background print. And evidently I bought quite a bit more of this than I needed because I have a whole big, I'm looking at the name. Yeah, Primitive Muslin, and this is also by Primitive Gatherings. So this is, I don't know, it's a mottled type of, it's very subtle, but it is mottled. But you can definitely tell that's the front, and then the back is a much whiter. You see that? So in this block, I notice these two pieces right here, those are lighter. I evidently used the back side, and these two here, I used the back side. Now on camera, with me looking at the camera, I can't really tell it. I can see it looking at it here. I don't know that at this point, I don't know. Do I go back and change it? It's 2 blocks. It wouldn't be much. I could go back and change it. I also like making these hourglass units with this directional print because look, all the names ended up the right direction. I just love that. All right, so let me know what you think. Should I go back and change those 2? It's the only 2 I've noticed so far where I used the back side instead of the front side. So I did try to use some that were a little darker. You can tell the last blocks that I did were the ones that were the low volumes. Here's the red state names. And the last one, this is, no, I have 2 more. No, this is flags. That's a little more low volume, hard to see. And I think I showed this one at the beginning, but we'll show that again, the blue stars. So all my blocks are done. I'm ready to assemble the quilt. I'm so excited. And a lot of others in Quilt Circle have already got their tops together. Some of them have it quilted and all done. So I am behind the game a little bit. Let me show you. I already have, this is my backing fabric. I picked the red with the state names. I love that. And then this is my binding. It's the dark blue. Really like that. And I have it all here in my basket. I was going to show you, or in my project bag. The other thing that I use, I'll link these down below. I love these big clips. I love letters, I love words, I love typewriters, the whole thing. So these are clips. I can't think of the name right now, but if I find them again, I'll link them down below. But when I cut my blocks, this is how I just paper clipped them. Some of them I had to just stack up and paper clip the very top of them because there were so many. So I still have, I don't know if I cut too many of these. Why do I have 2 left over? I don't know. I have some pieces left over, so hopefully I have all the blocks done. I sure thought I did, but maybe there's a few more to do. So that's my joy-filled. What do I do with the pattern now? That's my joy-filled. This is our quilt-along currently going on. We will be done with this by the end of November, and then we're taking December off with any kind of quilt-along project. We'll regroup and start something new in January. So that's why I like to open up Quilt Circle instead of waiting to the first of the year when we're going gang-ho, gung-ho, whatever. When we're starting off with a bang, everything that needs to be done, or everything new that we're starting, I like to get new members in there just a tad bit early. That way you can get used to the platform. I host this on a private platform called Circle. There's an app. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your computer or laptop. It's a private community. Only those who are members are allowed in. But you can post pictures and comments and things, and because we're starting some new challenges, we're starting a new quilt-along, those kind of things, the first part of the year, I like to get new members in there prior to that so you can get used to the platform, get used to how things work and the live events that we have, and then we can start off, everybody can start off on the right foot with quilt-alongs like this. So I hope you'll join us. It's a lot of fun. I love meeting people from all across the country, from Canada. We've had a few from overseas. It gets a little harder with time zone changes from those overseas, but we'd love to have you join us for our next quilt along and inside Quilt Circle. If you have any questions about it, send me an email and I'll try to get back to you and answer questions that way. I do get a question about cost of it. That will all be explained in the emails, and so if you're at least interested, sign up for the emails. There's no obligation to be on the wait list. That's just so that you get those emails, and you'll find out all that information. If you have any questions in the meantime, just send me an email, and that information is down below. The other thing I wanted to do today before showing you customer quilts is just do a huge shout out to Handy Quilter. This past week I had a little bit of difficulty with one of my machines, and I was frustrated. My screen didn't seem to be responding. You know, I would push my screen and it would wait and it would wait and it would wait and then it would finally go. And I was just having some run errors and different things. So I called up Handy Quilter and I just explained what was going on. Had the nicest IT tech guy help me out. Talked to him on a Friday. It was late my time, but thankfully I'm on Eastern time. They're either on Mountain Time, I believe Mountain Time. So they were still in the office, and he walked me through some things that day, gave me some things to do, and then, you know, I said, okay, and he helped me patch the things that we thought were wrong, and he says, if this doesn't fix it, then give me a call back next week. So I waited several days. I used my machine for several days, was still having a few issues. It was better, but I was still having a few issues. And so called him back, and he spent over an hour with me on the phone. Actually, what I ended up doing was updating to Connect. Now, if you're with Handy Quilter, if you've got a Handy Quilter in your machine, you'll understand that Connect is their new update where it connects automatically to the internet through Wi-Fi. And I did go ahead and update to Connect, but what I have done is it does not connect automatically. So it took a little bit because I'm on a Mac. Windows is on the other one, so I had to download everything onto a USB through my Mac and then move that over to my computer or to my tablet, download those things. And he was so nice. He stayed on the phone with me for over an hour. Most of us are just not that tech savvy. That's why we have IT people to call, right? And he walked me through step by step, every button to push, everything I needed to do. He explained things to me and helped me get going with the Connect. And he explained to me that the best way to do this is to have it where I have to connect to the Wi-Fi if I'm ready to do an update. Do it once a month, maybe once every other month, just to see if there's any current updates. He walked me through the entire thing. He was super friendly, super nice to deal with, and I'm up and running and it's working great. I'm really, really liking it, and wish I'd done it a little earlier. I know there's been some troubles. People have been, you know, different things, but I just have to give a shout out. A few times over all these years that I have had to call into Handy Quilter, they have been super friendly, super nice, very helpful. And I just thank you. I thank you for being there when those of us who don't always understand everything about the computer, I do pretty well. But there are things that go along behind the scenes that I just need help with. I just don't understand all that. And I am super, super grateful for people who do and are willing to help me through that. So thank you so much to Handy Quilter and your great IT department. And don't be afraid to call. They're there to help. And I so appreciated that. All right, let's move on to some customer quilts today. This quilt is done by Selena, and she said she was inspired by Pat Sloan's quilt, The Love of Books, and that she changed a few things, but she was inspired by that pattern. This is absolutely beautiful. My girls would love this. So, you know, we love books, and working on the quilts. One daughter has hers done, the other one, it just needs to be a few little details finished up, but this is beautiful. So it uses all the Jane Austen prints, which is just perfect. And love the bookcases. I love the fabric. It's so, so cute. She's done some really cute details in here. So I don't know if right here she has fussy cut and appliqued in the titles of Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice on those two books right there. Isn't that cute? Right here as a book top, she has done the Anne of Green Gables fabric from that line, and she's fussy cut to put that right there so it looks like it's the edge of a book. And let me pull this in closer so you can see a few other things. She added a cat on the bottom. Is that not cute? That's some Lori Holt fabric right there. And it may be a Lori Holt pattern. I'm not exactly sure if whether that's from Pat Sloan's encouragement. I'm not sure. So some of the books are laying horizontal as that block. Some are doing vertical here. And then farther down, I love this. She's done Little Women. So she has Lewis. Is that what this says? What was his name? It looks like it says... No. Lori. Lori, it came to me. Lori, and then it has the four sisters, Meg, Amy, Beth, and Joe. And she's fussy cut those to put on the edges of each one of those books. It's so cute. I just love it. Here's the teacup right here, the star on the side of that. This is so fun because you can just keep looking and see more and more. I love the patterns. Some of this looks like Blackbird. Is it Blackbird fabric? Some of it looks like that, as well as the Jane Austen prints, but so cute. I cannot say enough about this. Oh, and even here there's a little fussy cut right here, and it has maybe that's Joe and Mr. Bear, I don't know, but she's fussy cut just some different spots that would be the book title or the book plate on the end of the spine of the book. So cute. So then around the edges, you do have the bookcase that's done all in this same print, and then she has done the light blue border around the edges of that. The background fabric, oh, I just love this. And you can see some of those same prints that were on the front. So here's the man and the woman there, and just love this. Oh, just love it. The size of her quilt is 55 by 70. For the pantograph, she chose the Easy Baptist fan. So classy. I mean, it's just a classic pantograph to go with. The theme of the quilt is just very, it's got classic books on it, and so it just fit the theme of the quilt very, very nicely. Did use a cream color. No, I used Omni 3068, and let me pull that out so you can see the color of that. The Omni 3068 is the name of it is called beige, and here it is compared to the cream. Now this is the very end of the spool of the cream, so you may be seeing a little bit of the white cone underneath it. But you can see how the beige is just a tick darker, and I felt the tone of this quilt The cream was just a tad bit bright on here, and I felt like the beige really fit with the tone, the hues of the fabrics in this one. I think it went really, really well. So again, if you want to invest in a range of cream and whites and things like that, then 3068 would be one to add into that. If you're just wanting to keep basic, I would just stick with the cream, which is 3004. Did I say that correctly? If you're wanting to stick with, if you're wanting to add some other colors, 3068, that is called beige. And a good one to add into that arsenal. If you're just wanting to keep just one cream color, then I would stick with a 3004. But that is Selena's quilt, and I just love it. And this is Donna's quilt. This measures 62 by 82. This is using the Soar panel right here in the middle. And then she has used further fabric, Northern Peaks and Patriot, all from Northcott, to add the borders onto this. You can also buy this as a kit with this panel and then a pattern that, there are several different patterns out there, but ones that have more of a pieced border, but all of them tend to have borders around the panel. Donna's gone simple and just adding a series of borders all the way around. So she's got this turquoise one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's got 5 borders, varying in lengths. Skinnier, I would say this one measures 2 inches finished. This one probably 3.5, maybe 5. Back to a 2-inch one. You can't see that all the way over there. So let's look at it this way. So the turquoise one's a little skinnier, probably 2 inches. This one finishes probably 3.5, maybe 5. Back to the 2 inches, and then another probably 4 or 5 around the edges. All Northcott fabrics, very, very pretty. And that eagle panel on the front, you can see it right there. Just very, very pretty with the mountains and the evergreen trees. And then the back, I love that she added in the brown on the back. This matches perfectly because it has the same blue hints to it, but I like that she added in the taupey brown color on the back as well. I think that's a nice finish to the back of the quilt. The pantograph on this one is called Obsidian. Haven't used this one too often, so it may be a new one to use. So this one, it gives it more of a vertical feel. So it has just a not even a spiral, just a swirl down, and it echoes back on itself. It has a little bit of a swirl, not a very deep one, and then back up. So it almost has an S effect in a way, some points to it. I just like this one with the eagle and the mountains. It gave a very vertical feel with the pantograph and also with the panel. That's really what the panel is. It's very vertical. You're seeing in the distance, you're seeing the mountains and the trees and just the grandness of the open air. And so I felt like this quilt, I'm not trying to repeat a pattern at all. I'm just trying to add a dimension to it that complements the feeling of the quilt. I did use a light gray thread on this one, and honestly, when you look at it, I think you'd have a hard time telling that it was gray except on these lighter blueprints and maybe on the whitish part of the panel there. It really blends in with that really nicely. And then the gray on the back really blends in with the taupe as well. Love this, so pretty. Very nice job. Next, I have a couple of Christmas quilts, and this first one is done by Cynthia. This is a jelly roll race quilt, and this uses a jelly roll from Hoffman called Jingle Pop, and this actually can be bought as a kit from Jordan Fabrics. It is called Jelly Roll Race Quilt, and there's a picture of the cover. You can buy this as a kit from Jordan Fabrics, and so that includes your Jelly Pop strip pack. And then I do believe, so required materials are a jelly roll, 3 accent fabrics, and those are for the borders. So a red, a green, and a gold, and that's what's adding in some of the golds you're seeing here, perhaps the border around the edge there. And then you also need, it gives you additional yardage for the inner border, the outer border, the binding, and the backing. So along with the jelly roll, it does have 3 accent fabrics in this part of the quilt as well. All right, so fun. The fabric line on this is the Jingle Pop jelly roll. I'm getting my tongue tied in today, and the size on this is 63 by 76. I love the fabrics on this one. They have the gold overtone to it, so black with the gold on top, red with the gold on top, green with the gold on top. You have your holly berries and your poinsettias, all your classic Christmas motifs. You got some candy canes and some berries. You even have a few fabrics that have the Christmas ornaments along with the gold as well, and then some gold prints. Very pretty. The backing fabric is super cute. It's the ornaments hanging from the holly berries. I like that as well. And again, it has the gold overtones to it. So for the thread on this one, first let's talk about the pantograph. The pantograph is called Mistletoe. I sent Cynthia several Christmas related designs. She went with mistletoe. I think this is so pretty. Mistletoe has, let me do it on lighter prints here. Some large swirls. They do cross over themselves, so you get a little bit of that ribbon effect. You have a couple little feather designs, and then more swirls, and then more feathers, and it just does out in a row like that. Let me grab the cone for this color thread so you can see what I used. The thread color that I used on this one is 3045. This one does not have a name at the top of it, but 3045. And so I felt like this was a gold tone. It really went well with this quilt. So, looking at it here, it almost has like a green tinge to it, I guess. But I felt it really matched the gold well. I did wind my own bobbins for this so that I did have gold on the back also. With Donna's quilt, no, that one was a gray one. The one before that with the with this beige, the 3068, I just used pre-wound bobbins in the cream color. It's close enough to that on the back you don't even notice that. So in a cream that's close to the other cream, I would use the same pre-wound bobbins on both of these. I would use the cream ones. But for this, I don't have a pre-wound that would match close enough to this gold. So I did wind my own bobbins for the back of this quilt. So let me show it to you on the back. And if you notice, there was a lot of the same design that looks very similar to the mistletoe in the background of this. Of the ornaments hanging, they're all hanging from gold threads. All of the holly berries and holly leaves have gold accent around the edge, the gold leaf, I guess you want to say. But then even in between the ornaments is a scrolly gold print. And so then with the mistletoe on top of that, it really just blends right in with that, and that gold thread just adds right in there with all of those swirls. So pretty. Great Christmas quilt. All right, I have one more Christmas quilt to show you today. This is Paula's quilt, and this is the Regal Pines pattern by Chelsea Stratton. On this one, it measures 69 by 81, and this is using Leela Boutique's line called Christmas Eve. So pretty as well. All the white background fabric really makes these trees pop out. So you have the grays and the greens and the reds. You do have the star block here with the smaller squares. And I'm seeing if each one of those, yeah, so I was looking to see how this was put together, whether you're making like a 9-patch or something to create that Irish chain effect, but you're not. The alternating blocks, so you have a Christmas tree block here done in layers, and each one of those layers of the Christmas tree are a different fabric. Then the next block right here has the star in the middle, and then it has a 4-patch on each corner. And because you're alternating that block across the quilt, you're getting that Irish chain effect with just using 2 blocks in the quilt. You have the Christmas tree block and the star block with the 4 patches on the edges. Very, very pretty. There you can see one of those star blocks really well. She's used all white background fabric and then done an extra white border around the edge, and this may be called for in the pattern. I don't have this pattern. But I like that because it gives your eye a place to rest before moving on to the border. And then the red border is just classy. I like that as well. The background fabric, she just went with a solid white, the same as the front, and that shows off the pantograph really well. This pantograph is called Breeze, and Paula said that she wanted something that looked windswept across the quilt. So I sent her several designs, and this is the one she chose. Breeze echoes itself quite a bit, and I don't think I shrank this down at all when I pulled it into Pro Stitcher. I left it the size that it was because you can see how tight these lines already are. So it spins in, echoes that out, comes back in, echoes that out, comes back in, echoes that out, and then it moves across the quilt so that you get some smaller ones here, a little paisley type one there, but it's the swirls are really big. It echoes itself many times, so I didn't want to make this too small because the lines were already pretty close together. So the swirl, the breeze movement, ends up being fairly large, but that's because it echoes itself so many times on there. Did use a white thread on this one with all the white background fabric. That was the obvious choice on this one. Picking off my threads everywhere. And if I didn't mention, I think I did, 69 by 81 is the final size on this one. This is going to be so pretty at Christmas time. So hope this inspires you to get started on those Christmas quilts, because Christmas is going to be here before you know it. This beautiful quilt is done by Brenda, and she said this is Eggplant Relish. She said her layout is not exactly the same as the pattern, but who would know? It's absolutely beautiful. They said this was a fat quarter bundle from her stash, so I don't have exact names of the line. It does look like a purple batik pattern. All of them look like batiks. A lot of purples. You have a few lime greens. You have some rosy, pinky colored ones, some more lavender, some turquoise, and then all of those mixed together. So all batiks. Very, very cute. This one measures 69 by 79. Then around the edge, and the piecing is so intricate on this. I'm sure it's not hard, but I don't know where the block ends, and so you'll have to get the pattern, Eggplant Relish. And then she has done a couple borders on here. She's done a purple border and then an orange border, really pretty, and then the background fabric is a purple. Very nice. So for the pantograph on this one, she did espresso, and espresso has the swirls. They do cross themselves, so it gives that ribbon effect, and it comes out, does another swirl, a loop-the-loop, and a swirl, comes out, another swirl. So just continuing those swirls over and over again. I did use the light gray thread on this one, both in the top, and I have light gray bobbins for the back. And the tone of the quilt, a little darker. I felt cream was a little too bright on here, but when you put the gray on there, it really reads as a lighter cream color. And then I think it's not so bright on your purples either. You can see the stitching, but it's not overpowering at all like a lighter color would be. So the light gray on that. Love this, so pretty. I think she's giving this as a gift. So very, very nice. I have 3 quilts to share with you that are Lynn's quilts, and this first one is a Laundry Basket Quilts pattern. Lynn believes it's called Broken Star. When I looked that one up, I'm not quite sure that's the right one, but I couldn't find the right one. So if you know what the name of this pattern is, we would appreciate you sharing that so that I can put that in the comments below. But obviously a star, if you're familiar with Laundry Basket Quilts, you know she loves stars. She has so many different star patterns. They're absolutely beautiful, and Lynn has done a wonderful job on this one. The fabric line, she says it's an old line. She wasn't sure, probably Paintbrush Studios, but you could use whatever muted line you like, because that is really what this the tone of this quilt is, all the muted fabrics. I love the crimson color, and so those are your basic ones. You've got this crimson, red, you've got a navy blue, you've got a brown, and then all the others are kind of colors off of those. So lower volumes, you can see everything's done in half square triangles. You have this star in the center, you have some applique blocks around that center star, and then those half square triangles continue out so that you have a larger star, kind of like a carpenter's star or something like that, but it's all done with half square triangles. And in looking at the pattern, it does look like it's made in blocks. So it's like this applique block. I don't know how well you can see. So this applique block here is set on point, and then it has other half square triangles around it. And then perhaps this block is all half square triangles. Then you've got another one set on point, and then in those corners, pull this in so you can see, in these corners then we have this applique block not set on point, and then the half square triangles around that. So you're going to have to find the pattern or one of Adita Sitar's patterns, and then the applique that she has put in these in the background squares, she has done a very tight satin stitch, zigzag stitch all around that, so all the edges are covered, and very, very fun. The quilt itself measures 83 by 83, and the background fabric is a light tan color, then with polka dots that are like a green polka dot. I like that for a background fabric. It's really pretty. Some of those same polka dots featured throughout, a lot of florals, and then those darker colors. You can see your half square triangles are basically done with a dark and a light, and then those are arranged so that you get that star pattern. Really cute. Let me pull in the borders so you can see these. So here is the borders on the quilt. So she's got a skinny, so this is like a flange that she's done. She used, let me look if she mentioned, used bias made tape for the flange or the piping along the edge. And so doing an all over pattern, I really just went over that flange or that piping around the edge so it's all stitched down. It may be something that you would prefer to have some custom quilting done if you were doing a binding like that or a piping like that so that it's more loose. That's typically what you see, but I only do edge-to-edge designs, and so I stitch right over it. To do that, I have to use the scoop foot, or the glide foot is what Handy Quilter calls that. They've just come out with a new one. I actually had to replace my glide foot on my newer machine because I broke the other one not too long ago, and I can't tell you. So I was able to keep stitching, not on this quilt, it was on a different one. I was able to keep stitching because I just switched the foot, but I had to watch it like a hawk because to use your regular hopping foot, it doesn't glide as well over the fabrics. And so I was glad to get my new glide foot in, but as a glide 3 now is what Handy Quilter is now using. It's more of a metal, the shank part of it, not the shank, but what hooks onto the shank is more of a metal piece with the glide foot still being plastic. I think that's, and that's kind of what broke on my other one, is I actually caught it on some batting that I was using to tuck behind the bars. I caught it on that and it broke it off, and that's really what broke, was that the plastic piece that hooks to the metal shank of the machine. So now they've put a metal piece in as that part, and the glide foot itself seems just the same, but that's what happened to mine. So I enjoy using a glide foot, but especially when going over piping like this, I did have to be sure that it was all down and that my glide foot went over it. I did watch it pretty close as it was going over any parts of that, just to make sure that that piping stayed towards the center of the quilt. I didn't want it flipped out the other way. So she's done that crimson piping. I love that. A little green, lighter green, olive green skinny border, and then a large floral border around the outsides. We've talked before that a great idea is, if you're using a floral border like this, or even a floral backing, is that you can pull, because the rest of this quilt is scrappy, you can pull colors that will match with this to create your scrappiness on the inside. So take one focal fabric and then pull the colors from that. You could save the selvage from your focal fabric. That'll have all the different colors that they used in printing that fabric along the edge, and you can use that as almost like your cheat sheet, you know, to pull colors or just match up colors with that into the border. It's really nice. I like this polka dot print. It's a nice background. Instead of being a cream or a white on white, it's a little more of a taupey color, a little beige color, and I just like the whole tone it gives to this quilt. Very fallish feeling, I guess, just subdued and calm, and I really like that. The backing fabric then, I'll find the selvage of this. I think I still have, I think the selvage was on the backing part that I cut off and link that. It's some sort of a vine print. Hold on, let me just go find it. All right, I found the parts that I had trimmed off of the quilt, and I do have the selvage. So this is a Benartex quilt back delicate vines, and there's that information there. I love this. It went so well with this quilt. And I have these all stacked up ready to return to. Lynn is the reason that I have the selvage there. This is the part that I trimmed off when I trimmed the quilt down, and then I return all of this to the client. None of this do I keep. This is all your fabric then you can use either for the binding or for your next project. But this is Benartex. It does say quilt backs on it. It might have been a wide back. I cannot remember if there was a seam in this or not. It doesn't feel like it, so perhaps it was a wide back. But I love this viney print, the delicate vines. Very subtle and just very calming and pleasing for this quilt top here. So that's what was on the back. For the thread color then, I did use 3068 in the Omni, which is a beige color. And the muted tones of this, the beige color, went really well. For the pre-wound bobbin on the back, I did use the darker, I have a darker taupey color, and that's what I used on the back. It blends in really well. And just love this. Pantograph. We haven't talked about pantograph. All right, so this, Lynn asked if I could do something more traditional, and so we went with paisley flower on this one. So let me see. With a busy quilt top, sometimes it's hard. Maybe you can see it on the backing some if I get the lighting just right. Let me see here. Okay, I'll try to hold this just right, so maybe the lighting will help you to see the quilting. So paisley flower, I really like this one, especially for a quilt like this that's, again, very calming, subdued. And so paisley flower is a hint towards traditional. It has, so the vine that is stitched out this way in the way that I'm holding this backing right here. So it has swirls right here, echoed a couple times, does a couple paisleys, does a swirl over here, comes back, does some paisleys, echoes that. So swirls and paisleys, I think it's really pleasant. Move my threads there. I hope you can see that. I'll hold it just right. So with the thread being the same color as the backing, and it just blends in really well, it's kind of hard to see, but paisley flower, very pleasing, very calming. Went perfectly with this quilt, especially that you've got the applique on the front. That's kind of the same look to it, and it's just really pretty. Did want to show you, there's also applique in the corners here. So you have those blocks in the center, but then isn't that cute too? Just how it creates that corner. Very fun. Very, very cute. Lynn, you did a wonderful job on this quilt. Lynn's second quilt is comes from the book On a Roll Again, and this is by Lisa Alexander. A very fun book. This uses all jelly rolls. So everything is 2.5 inches, and there are 14 projects in that book and some really cute patterns, all different sizes. So this is the family gathering quilt from that book, and this one measures 68 by 68. I just love this. I love the fabric line, very springy. It just feels very fun. So almost like an around the world, but it looks to me like it's done in 4 sections. I may be wrong, but that's kind of way, in looking at the piecing, that's kind of the way it seems to me. It's done in 4 sections instead of an actual medallion where you're building out, or an around the world. So kind of done in sections, all 2.5 inch strips. Use your favorite jelly rolls. Lynn used the Dwell in Possibility for both the front and the back, and that is from Gingerbur, if I'm saying that correctly. So grays, oranges, mustardy yellows, some white low volumes in here, and then some black in there too. Really, really cute. It has a piano key border all around the edge. Not always the easiest thing to do, but Lynn did a great job on that. I like these inner 2 borders there that kind of separates your eye from the center medallion type around the, or trip around the world type of quilt. And then you have your 2 borders, the mustard and the orange. I'm sure that's yardage and not part of the jelly roll. And then the piano key border around the edge. And then the backing fabric is part of that same line. Isn't that cute? I love the Melanie orange, so pretty. And then I love the pantograph on this one. So this is Julie Hertz Cottonwood, and it's a tight, modern looking pantograph, and I just love it. So it's a 6-petaled flower. It does stitch out 2 rows at a time. They're a bit, no, these stack on top of each other. Now looking at it, I was going to say they were offset, but they stack on top of each other. It does stitch out 2 rows at a time of this, and it's a modern look, a tight quilt. Don't be afraid of the tight quilting. I just love it. I just love, love, love the texture that it creates on this. We've got a lot of piecing, a lot of intricate piecing. It just keeps everything laying flat, and just adds, you know, the quilt itself, the pattern itself is more geometric, I want to say, you know, lots of pixelated, I guess. Several of the fabrics have florals in them, and I just love this pantograph on top of this. I love the texture it creates, kind of a different feel from the very square, boxy look of the quilt. And then because it's so busy, it's one of those, you're not going to see the quilting until you get in close. And then you get in close and you've got this tight pantograph, just lots of texture, loads of texture, and I just am so thrilled with how this one turned out. So I hope you can see that. I did use a cream color thread, 3004, that's Omni Cream, blends really well, and then a light, just the cream backing, or the cream bobbin as well. I just really like this. Really like this. So fun. And Lynn really has 3 seasons here. I feel like the first one, the Adidas Sitar Laundry Basket Quilts, that quilt had a very fall feel. And then the last one had a spring feel, and now we have Christmas. So not all seasons, but 3 of the seasons. So this pattern is Pines and Cabins, that is done by Basic Gray. And the fabric line is also by Basic Gray. It is Hustle and Bustle. The background print you see in between the motifs here, or the blocks here, the background fabric that she has used is a grunge. It's vanilla, so it has that grungy look. I like that with Christmas fabrics. It kind of adds just kind of that blustery feel of Christmas time. So really cute. Pines and Cabins. So you have your cabin blocks there, stars, you have some diamonds, and then the pieced trees. Just so cute. Let me pull this down just a tad bit, so you can see those pieced trees. So cute. So each one, they kind of alternate. So it's a polka dot print and then a wording print, polka dot wording, polka dot gray for the tree trunks. And love the bright colors. The bright reds are very pretty. The cabins, let me pull this in so you can see the cabins. Very cute. Love the gold in the windows, so it looks like it's shining. The simple gray door, the Christmas fabric for the cabin, and then the red roofs. I just love them. 2 chimneys that match the door. And each one of the cabins looks like it's the same fabric for every cabin. Every tree is the same. Then you have the stars and the diamonds. It does have the border for the large floral print, Christmas floral print. That is your border. That is used in some of the diamonds and some of the other piecing as well. Really cute. So the backing fabric, she chose this red and green plaid. This is a flannel on the back, so cotton on the front and flannel on the back. Very Christmassy, very cute. I don't know if I mentioned, this measures 70 by 70, so it is a square quilt. So for the pantograph, she chose Glimmering Star. I was going to say something different. Glimmering Star. So we have what is that? An 8-pointed star, where it's the perpendicular points of the star are larger, and then the ones in between are smaller. A smaller one and a larger one, and just swirls in between. The swirls do have a ribbon effect where they cross over each other. Didn't make this super tight on this one. Left it a little open. So the larger star probably measures, you know, a good 5 or 6 inches. And then the swirl, the smaller stars, maybe 4 inches. And it just alternates between them. It has a smaller one, a larger one, smaller one, a larger one, with a swirl in between. The thread on this one, let me check. I didn't write it down, but the thread on this one looks like the cream color, or an off-white color, just so that it blends a little bit with the muted, not so much, I guess they are a little muted. The reds and the greens are just a little on the darker side, the darker crimson color. The greens are more of your olive green and your evergreen color. So it does look like it was the off-white, like an off-white color. That grunge having a little bit of the gray in there. It's not a true white. It's kind of a grayish, mottled, you know, a little bit of cream, a little bit of gray. And so that cream color went really well. And then also on the back, because the back is very dark, using the cream color blended with those colors a little better, or just kept it a little darker. If you'd used white, why white might have looked fine on the front, the white on the back would have just, it would have stood up. With flannel, your stitches do get sunk in a little bit, but it's not like minky where you lose all the stitches. You do see the color of thread. They just get lost in that just a little bit there. So Glimmering Star is the name of that one, and you'll want to get this pattern and get started on it. Really cute. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are inspired to create some of these quilts, see a new colorway or a new pattern that you're interested in, or perhaps new pantographs that you want to try. So thanks for joining me today, and I will be back here next week because every quilt is worth finishing. We'll see you then.